Thanks.
All right.
Done.
We are officially. Oh, you guys. You guys always find some way to
What?
ruin the stream. Always find a
What are you talking
way.
about? What did I do? I didn't do anything. I'm here. I've
Always.
been here.
Oh, boy.
Dude, you guys are so hateful.
All
Always
right.
blame me like I do things.
Um, I can hear myself echoing.
Can you?
Yeah. That we need to get you a different headset.
I will mute this.
Is there like a
And
foamy
you get
thing?
that.
I think you need one of these foamy things because it just like picks up everything so well.
You'll probably steal it from my
A foamy
Xbox
thing.
One.
Yeah, let's see if you can steal
Let's try.
it. Watch out your feet. Hello?
Yeah, whatever.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the
Mhm.
stream. While John's going to do that. This stream is going to be relatively short, like around 45 minutes. And we're going to...
Lies.
No, it's got to be.
Lies.
And so we're going to kind of keep this pretty simple. I'm going to be painting and talking about lighting and stuff. Kind of give you guys a example of what the dynamic lighting class will be about. But more importantly, just talk about stuff like freelance and how to manage wages and how to work with people that are not in the same room with you and they can't come see what you're up to. You know, that kind of stuff.
Is that a rap?
You like my song? Oh, dude, the other day, me and John were driving. We were driving back from Santa Monica, and I was just like, I was freestyling, and I was doing so good.
Sucks so bad.
Oh, like
That was so good. I was
like what's his
so
face?
good.
That one guy that we used to watch, the guy that can rap over anything. You just like point to something and he does it.
Yeah, I was like that good.
Wow, because I feel like every time we've tried that, we end up doing it, and then like within
Nah.
within literally like 5 seconds, we're just crying because we realize that we're not rappers.
No, it was amazing.
Okay.
What I did was I actually I did some research on how to freestyle before we started. No, halfway through I was like, man, I'm really bad at this, and then I was like, I need to do some research, and I think I got like 20% better, seriously, after like doing some research, looking
Yeah,
into it.
It's Mr. whatever that guy's name is. What's that rapper? I forget his name. That guy's like the best. Like he has a Guinness Book World Record for freestyling. It's like 6 hours. People just like give him stuff, and he just it's crazy how
For
how
6
good that.
hours. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like the most craziest like freestyle like thing ever. Like the only time he could really take breaks is when he's drinking water. But even when he drinks water, he has to like drink it really quickly so he can like freestyle. And even then, like he's so good at freestyling, he figured out like the words like you can't rhyme. He's like purple and orange, like are the words like phonetically that can't be rhymed. And everyone's like, oh, I know a word, nurple. And you're like, that's not a word, dude. But yeah, he's figured it out. That's how good at freestyling is. Like he knows all the words like phonetically in the dictionary. Check it out. I'm gonna find out what his name is again, so I'll link you to it. Why are you trying to freestyle? That's like a random thing.
I wasn't trying to. I was.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But why are you investing time into it?
No good.
Are you trying to like? Is this what we're doing now? Or
No, it
Or
was
watch
only on
out
the way
for-
from Santa Monica. All right. So, anyways, let's get into this.
all right, folks, watch out for AJ's album. Drops in the summertime.
Yeah.
Be on the lookout
My
for the
next
mixtape.
mentorship.
Robotpencil.
My next mentorship is going to be
How to
freestyle
rap.
DJ John.
Foghorn.
DJ John. Randy. Oh Jesus. We should not have a rap album.
Okay. That would be actually awesome. Yo, walking down the street. Yo, talking to my feet. Yo.
There he goes. It's like, for some reason, he always says that same thing too. Walking down the street.
That's not that's not rapping. Then you just keep shit that you
Oh,
already.
God.
Oh,
Talk
Jesus
about
Christ.
getting derailed. All right.
Yeah.
So back to speaking of freestyling. Let's talk about lighting and freelancing. Oh, what the tight. And so,
Oh, that was close.
well, real close. Word free. They're both in there.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I think we'll go ahead and start. We'll just gonna kind of kind of keep this open ended. And what I mean by that is like if you guys have any questions, we can start to actually answer them as we go.
Okay.
And so John will be collecting any questions or any kind of things that might have been bothering you, you're not entirely sure about, and you want to kind of get insight, and Kaylin and I will talk about it. And then when there's kind of noise, like no noise being made between me and him, we can talk a little about lighting and just kind of
Never.
how it works. Yeah, well, if there is. And with that being said, we can go ahead and get this party started. So, one of the things I want to talk about, I'm basically getting myself set up for my lighting demonstration. So, we can go ahead and start with the what you call it, the freelancing stuff.
Freelance questions.
Yeah. So,
Let's talk about
yeah,
money.
John, you can just interrupt us at any time. But
All right.
And so one of the things that I want to kind of start off with is that, a lot of people, one of the biggest questions people ask is, what's the difference between studio life and freelance? And for me, it's definitely different than other people, but other people tend to love freelance, and some people hate freelance. Some people love studio life, and some people hate studio life. For me, I think it's all the same. It's all really good, and it all depends on it's either really good or really bad, but has nothing to do with whether it was freelance or not. It has everything to do with the client, right? Whether you work for a cool studio or you don't work for a cool studio, it really comes down to that. To me, right?
Yeah.
And
Very
so,
true.
so with that being said, we can go ahead and get started. So one of the things that I think is really fun about freelance is that you get to kind of just work on your own schedule, which is great. Like for example, like today, I since today I didn't really have anything to do other than work on the game. I was working on the game pretty much all day today and did a little bit of stuff here and there. But I was like, me and my wife were talking on the phone. She was like, "Hey, why don't we hang out and go do stuff?" And at first I was like resilient. I was like, I can't because like I got to do stuff and all these things. And I was like, I can actually. I can. And I was like, he's like, never mind. Let's
I'm gonna
actually
do
hang
it.
out. Yeah, so let's hang out, like because there's like a little place next to where I work. That's just like a little place where kids can play and stuff. So we went there and I hung out with the kids, and it was great. No one was there. It was just us and my family. It was nice. It was kind of a miniature break. It was great actually. It was very nice. And John came, hung out too. The kids love him, and it was fun. It was a fun little thing to do, and I was kind of happy that I did it. But the the thing that I like about freelance is that kind of stuff. But then at the same time, I'm like, I have a deadline to meet tomorrow, so I'm like, gosh, I need to like find time to get all this stuff done. So I'm planning ahead and trying to figure out what and how I can get these things done. And that's what it starts to getting like. You might end up working over too late, or you have to wake up super early, and you need to do these things and get them done on a certain time.
Someone asked, where are some useful places to find freelance work when you are just getting started?
I'll let Karen answer that one.
In the
Yeah.
streets.
There it is.
Streets.
You heard it here,
In
guys.
the streets, yo.
Gangsta.
Yo,
You gotta
yo,
go in
rap
the
about it.
struggle. The struggle is real, son. Where do you find freelance? Honestly, I don't think I've ever had to go look for freelance. On it,
'Cause you're
oddly
too dope.
enough, I feel like freelance has come to me. But I do know that there are some boards like Concept Art Jobs. There's Indeed. There's LinkedIn. What's the other one? There's Kama Sutra. So there's a lot of places to look, but
Wait,
I feel
did you
like
say
most of the
Karma
time,
Sutra?
no, Gama Sutra.
Okay.
Not Kama Sutra. That's like some sexual shit, man. That's
I
my,
know. I was like, wait a minute. What kind of
You can
freelance
find-
jobs are you getting?
so, so that and Pornhub are great ones to find work. But yeah, usually I've been lucky enough that people have just find me, that they just go ahead. I found your work through ArtStation or DeviantArt or Tumblr, and I'd like you to do some freelance. Would you be open to that? So I think in the best way to do it is people will find you actually through the basic social media sites where you post art, which is pretty much like CG Hub and ArtStation. So I'd say if you keep putting your work out there,
CG
and
Hub
it's good
doesn't
quality
exist.
work, doesn't work anymore. Yeah, it doesn't work. Yeah, rest in peace. Pour out some liquor.
Yeah.
I think if you keep posting enough work and keep improving, people will give you freelance. There are plenty of people that always need some concept art done for some small thing, some small little project. It's only a week long, could be a month long, but those are all kind of small things. But I think if you want to get like the bigger freelance jobs, then you got to go to the job boards, and that's usually you can find them on LinkedIn and conceptart.org or ArtStation. Those are the places you want to be looking. But yeah, I'm not like AJ where someone just calls me and they're just like, "We want you now. We'll give you a lot of money."
Someone said, I had a question about getting a job in a U.S. studio. How likely is it for a company to hire people from overseas to work in-house? Is it really difficult, or would a company hire from anywhere as long as your portfolio is good enough?
Yeah, so that's another one. As I guess I'll take that one over because I've worked overseas. It's going to be really hard to get a job in the U.S., especially doing concept, just because there are so many talented people already here. So when you think about it, right, as a company, in order for you to work in the USA, you have to get a work visa, you have to get your residential papers figured out, all that kind of stuff. And that usually takes about 3 to 6 months if you're lucky. And then usually the company will have to pay a lot of money to expedite that process. They have to hire lawyers, all kinds of stuff usually. They want to get you hired. So it's a lot of work for them to get you over here. So you essentially have to be good. So let's say that you're applying for a job, right? But AJ's applying for the same job. You have to be so much better than AJ that they say, you know what, there's no way we cannot hire this person. You know what I mean? Because if it's close, even by a little bit in terms of like skill level, they're just gonna be like, well, we'll just hire this guy because he's closer. Like, why would I want to waste the energy to like get this guy hired when he's not even worth it? A good example is Nico Marley, right? He's the guy from DreamWorks, right? The character designer from DreamWorks. He's from France, I believe. And I remember one time I heard that he had got his papers got messed up, and when he tried to come back in the country, they wouldn't let him back in the country, so he couldn't go back to Burbank to go work at DreamWorks, and he had to like call, and he was like, "Guys, I can't go back to work because my visa is something weird about it." But like they handled that shit like all quick. They were like, "Okay, all right, we'll get you back. Like we'll do it." And usually, if that was the case, they probably just let you go. But because he's that good, he's like a one of a kind artist. They're just like, "All right, we have to do whatever it takes." So it is more than possible, but you're definitely gonna have to look at the studio's perspective of, is this guy worth spending 3 to 6 months worth of time and effort to get him over here, and then pay for his housing, pay for his flight. Like you got to make sure that what you're offering is worth that much.
Yeah, and to add to that, if your work is tremendously good, it becomes so much easier, of course. But you don't have to always come to the U.S. There's plenty of nice jobs overseas, actually.
Yep.
And
Yep,
so
yep.
there's other places within reach that are equally as good than some of the jobs here in the States. Probably even better because places out there are much cheaper to live. And but if you really want to get those States jobs, then you gotta be a killer artist. There's an artist that works over at Blizzard now that I'm sure that's what they did for him. They just like basically murdered the embassy and took it hostage and said, "Nope, you cannot take him ever." You know. And there's artists. What they do though is originally they work with them freelance. They freelance the stuff out to him for a long time, and then they're like, okay, let's bring him on board. And then they did all the paperwork and all that stuff. And in the meanwhile, he was doing freelance with them. And then eventually he got the job, got over there, and they're like, yep, he is awesome. Let's keep him here. And now he's literally one of the premier artists over there. I mean, he's so like off the boat that he's like doesn't speak English even not very well. Like he still is like speaks his first language mostly. Like they always have to like bring some guy upstairs to kind of translate for our art director. So it's seriously like it's just kind of one of those situations that you should put your priorities in your portfolio more than more than like, all the other stuff. I mean, obviously you should put a lot of attention to that, but like if your portfolio is good, I believe from what I've heard, I was talking to some people that are doing the very similar things, are trying to come over. They're doing a lot of stuff, and they need like recommendations and all these kind of crazy things to come over, basically, so that the countries sees them as that the country realizes that they're extremely important asset for the company that's trying to hire them, and that's why they're bringing them over.
Yep.
Someone asked, what if you worked at a place with fixed salary and they want to keep working with you on freelance basis after your contract is done? Do you jack up the rates? If so, is doubling the hourly rate kosher?
Yeah, I don't think so actually. It's one of those things that like you got to go in strong and stay strong, right? Either you like there's a saying, I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to paraphrase sort of what it is, but it's basically saying if you want to get a raise, you got to quit and get a new job, right? And and what that means is that it's pretty literal, right? Like it's not even like a metaphor. What I just said, pretty literal. It's that if you want to get more money, people tend to have to quit their job and get a new job. And when they do that, then they can ask for more money because that new job doesn't know their original or older salary. They don't really have a good idea of what that was, and so you can kind of jack it up now based off of the quality of your work. And so you gotta have to kind of create a standard, and once you create the standard, then you just kind of stick to it and raise it respectfully. I mean, it sucks if you got a job for like, let's say you were only working for $8 an hour, and you double that, it's only $16 an hour. I mean, that's probably more reasonable. But if you're already like at $30 an hour and try to say like $60 an hour with the same company, they'll be like, what the, I remember working with one company for freelance, and I worked with them, and I was charging $100 an hour. And then the next, like, it was like a couple months later, they got back to me and were like, hey, we want you to do some more stuff for us on this different project. And I was like, all right, great. And I was like, $125 an hour. And they're like, what? I'm like, why is it so much more? Like, they actively were like, what the hell? You know? And I, all right, whatever. And then they started working with me, and then I never heard from them ever again. So you gotta kind of keep that in mind. That, like, think about it in their perspective. Especially if it's the wound is still fresh. I mean, if it's like years later and you've obviously gotten better, I mean, there could be obvious more. There could be an argument there. But if it's like months or even like weeks later, especially days later, it's just kind of like you shot yourself in the foot, and you should have asked for more money from the beginning. But next time you won't make that mistake, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
few potential clients that have approached me for art usually run away when I give them a quote estimate. What is a tactful way of testing the waters without scaring them off?
I'd say like
If you're
stick to your guns, man. Like if you
don't
feel
work with
that's
them.
your yeah, if you
Yeah.
that's your rate, then that's your rate, man. Then they weren't worth working for anyway. If you're trying to just get a job and you cut yourself short, then I mean, you're not doing yourself any favors. Um, just
Yeah.
because you're making that short-term money, you'll might end up working that long-term, uh, overtime, and which sucks. And then you'll start to actually make very little money as you work more and more on these types of projects. So it's best always to kind of have a higher rate. So in case you have to work a lot, you get paid for it. Unless you get like a day rate like me or something, like you'd say, okay, for every day, this is how much I get paid. So any day that you have me do anything, I get paid this much. And clients that I work with are usually generally cool with that. They're like, okay, great.
Yeah. Don't take it if they're not gonna willing to pay for it. It's just a headache. You know what I mean? I mean, if you think about it too, like I've had happened to me plenty of times where someone goes, "Oh, how much would you charge?" And I'm like, "This much," and they're like, "Oh, we don't have a budget for that." And I know for a fact they're saying that, hoping that you're gonna like lower your price. And I'm like, "All right, cool. We'll see you later, man." And then sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, okay. Well, then I guess we'll work with that." Or they'll go, "You know what? It's not for us." But then, you know what I mean? But like, do you really want to work on that project for that cheap of money? Is it really worth it? I mean, at that point in time, you might as well just work on your own stuff and make your own portfolio again, make some more portfolio pieces, get that out into the social media, which will lead to a bigger job in the first place. I mean, unless the job is like the most amazing exposure, like learn a lot kind of job, there really is no point at to take a
But
job
but even then, that
to
job that
lower
you're
it. You know what I mean?
that job that you're referring to would probably pay you.
Yeah,
Like the high
exactly.
exposure job would probably that company would probably have understanding of that you deserve a certain wage for your hard work and labor.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want to stress yourself out.
Next question says, which one's better, in-house or internet freelancing?
Internet freelancing.
Depends
Yeah,
what you want.
like I said, I started with this kind of like it's all preference, man. I've had people who, like I said, like personally, I love the studio environment. I really do. I love to be around other people and other artists. Like it's great. Right now I'm not in that specific situation, but I'm starting my own company, and slowly but surely I will surround myself with this type of people, right? But you know, working in the house, I've worked with some of the best people in the industry, and that's one of the best things you can ever really get. Even though you don't get paid as much as, let's say, working freelance, which you definitely get paid much more. That stability and that constant flux of hanging out with some of the coolest people is pretty cool. But the thing is that I can still hang out with these people. I'm buddies with them. I can just try to set up things where we hang out. Especially when you start to have stuff like Google Hangout and all these great things where you can actually just connect with people on a whole different level without actually being in the same room. You can still have that sense of being in the same room. In fact, probably be a little bit more connected because you're just talking with people in a social setting without necessarily anybody having to get up from their desk, you know, and walking over to where your desk is just to have a conversation with you. You can still be painting,
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
it's understood. In fact, I was thinking that we should do that, Kalen. Like you, me, Edgar, Nino. Like
Yeah, I've been
even though
trying to
they're
get people to get it back, but then everyone, I don't know where everyone is.
well, even
They're
though
just
they're
like
at the
never online.
office,
I feel like
if I set it up, yeah, because
if you
everyone likes
set it
me
up,
better.
then
Yeah,
because no one cares about me. 'Cause they'll
that's
be like
true. That's
AJ,
very true.
AJ,
That is very
fuck
true.
off.
Because we actually do get together often,
All
and
right,
it's usually about hating on you. So if I just change the tone of it and change it to more like we all paint together.
all right, that's cool. I mean, as long as you're being honest about it, if you're gonna hate, at least hate me in my face.
Yep.
Then it's
Yep.
all
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I
For
can
working
respect it.
in the US, I'm assuming they won't even bother with junior artists.
No, that's not true, man. But I would say it's
No,
your percentage of the success rate is much lower, obviously. But I mean, it's not nothing's impossible. You know,
yeah.
nothing is impossible.
You
Follow your
have
heart.
potential.
Follow your heart. Do you think diplomas are useful to get this kind of job or only portfolios?
Portfolios.
Portfolios.
Next question.
Next question.
Yeah.
That was
Just
the easy one. I was like, oh, sweet.
yeah.
I already know the answer.
Just grab your diploma and then set it on fire. It'll be better used to you as some sort of miniature torch that lasts for a few seconds.
What? But then that's terrible because what if you don't need a torch at that time?
Well, I mean, it's still more
Like,
valuable.
set it on fire when you need light. All right.
It,
'Cause then,
it's well, that's what I'm saying. It's even more valuable to you gone than it is in your possession.
yeah.
So might as well just set it on fire right now.
Dude, don't set it on fire. Dude. Don't get fired, bro.
I'm not joking. All right, continue.
I'm feeling very insecure to set up an hourly rate because it can take longer than I plan. I prefer to charge a full price for a illustration slash project. Do you have any tips on how to organize this rate slash working hours?
Yeah, just however much time you think you're gonna spend on it, and then how much time how much that hour rate means to you. Just do the math. If you think you're gonna work 40 hours that week on one project, and then you're charging $100 an hour, that's $4,000 a week. It's like that simple. Just keep yourself honest. Do you feel like you're $100 an hour worth of an illustrator? If not, then mark it down a little bit.
How do
Excuse me.
how do I find
Yeah.
companies to
Hold
send
on, I'm
my
not done. I was
okay?
just yawning. It's just like I was bored with that question. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's really important that you don't get insecure, but you also understand the lack of information and why your judgment might be flawed in some occasions. But you got to remember, man, like think about how long you can actually paint and how long things will take you to paint. Seriously, that's an important thing to value, and then charge based on that value once you've evaluated yourself. And stay consistent. Consistency is good. So let's say you work those 40 hours and they expect you to do, hey, we want you to do some more paint overs. And say, okay, well, then I'm going to have to switch to my hourly rate instead of my flat rate. And then you could say it's $100 an hour, which is consistent. If they did the math, they're like, oh, well, he did like a week's worth of work and it was 4,000. So it seems like it's the same. Some companies don't have any push or pull on this type of stuff. Like, I believe Magic the Gathering, like, if you need to do, what the? Um, and so you need to make sure that what you do is, you know, optimal amount of time that you can actually do for the things that they want you to do, because they're going to charge you a certain rate. For example, they're going to charge you 800 or 900 or $1,000 for one card. It's a small card, so you don't have to get crazy detailed with it. It doesn't have to be a crazy illustration. So, but it needs to be a full illustration, right? And so, what you need to do, what you need to say is, okay, if it's going to take me, if my rate is about $100 an hour and they're only giving me $800, then I need to maximize 8 hours of my time on this card. So maybe I spend 2 hours doing sketches and sending them to them, and then I do 4 hours of full on painting after I get the sketches and send it back to them for any more changes that there is any, and then 2 more hours. And if there's overtime, it's fine, as long as I don't go over too much. Because that way, if you spend 40 hours for only $800, you're not making as much as you're supposed to be. But that way, you can maximize your time and effort. So keep your rate, like once you figure it out, and as you evolve, keep increasing that rate as you become more professional and as you get more jobs, because then you can start turning jobs down. So when you throw your rate down, there's like, hey, that's too much. You could be like, all right, see you guys.
I'm out.
How do I find companies to send my work to? Companies I want to work for, that is.
Go ahead, Ken. I'm actually doing some.
Wait, what was the question? I couldn't. You kind
How
of
do I
cut out.
find companies to send my work to that he wants to work for? He, she, he, or
How do
she.
you find companies that you want to work for? Well, if you know what you want to work for, then haven't you technically already found them? But I guess what you mean is who to send it to. I would just check LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn, you could probably find out who the HR person is, and then just give your stuff to HR. And then usually, if your stuff is good enough, then they'll just forward it to the right people, right? That's
Yeah.
kind of the way I think about it.
You can definitely go to websites. I mean, that's always great. I don't think I've ever gotten a job via website, and I can only speak for myself. Like sending it into the actual like the official format. Most of my
Yeah.
jobs have always been from informal meetings of like at conventions and stuff. So I highly recommend, like, always try to go to a convention. And a lot of people will respond with that right after they hear me say that. Oh, well, there's no conventions where I live, and then usually John will find a convention like immediately after that comment. That's like right next to your house, and you're like, oh.
That's happening
and
right now.
yeah, that's happening right now. There's tremendous
God
amounts
damn
of
it.
conventions and stuff. They might not be like San Diego Comic Con, which is probably one of the biggest events in the world. But what I'm trying to get at is like, there's opportunities. No job is too good for you, or too. You're not too good for any job. I mean, just make sure you get paid fairly, and that the job that you do is like gonna. You can see that it's gonna help you out in some capacity in creating better portfolio pieces, and eventually become a person who can leave that company or stay at the company because you are the founding artist there, and that company blew up for some reason. you know, there's alternatives, man, and there's places. And if you still can't find a convention that's near you, then stop and start saving your money and come to the ones in America, because one or two of these ones
Yeah,
here
it's a good
are
idea.
worth. I mean, they're expensive, but dude, if you're serious about trying to get a career, then are you going to go that extra mile? I mean, come on. Like you can explain to me all the things that are going to prevent you from getting there, but that's not going to help you at all. Like I don't benefit or I don't I'm not going to lose or benefit from you telling me that there's nothing out where you live. You understand that. You understand
Yeah,
the suckiness of it. But if you have internet, you have access to information. There's ways of getting around and meeting these people um, informally. Like just there's ways of doing it. And what
yeah,
I'm trying to get at is
it's
that
very, very true.
yeah, you just need to find like I meet people all across the world all the time who travel from all around and find some way in some capacity to do it. And I mean, I love to tell the story of this African who he was basically like he built his whole business from Africa when he didn't have internet because in his town there was only one computer that had internet, you know, and and that was it. Like he would have to go. Like everybody had to share the same computer, and he would have to go wait like an hour, 2 hours for the computer, and then he would sit there for about 1 hour on the computer and do all the things he needed to do to make his company run. And then he'd leave the computer and then wait another 2 hours and get back in line, and just keep doing that, you know. And then eventually his company went global and like internationally, he became like a multimillionaire. And it's like when I hear stories like that, I'm like I don't feel so much sympathy for too many people, because there's people that are also in the same position as you, but potentially even worse. You know, I mean, there's people with tremendously terrible things happening to them, and yet they find ways to get past it. Now, I don't want to be too insensitive and say, well, your circumstances are really easy, right? Like you should just get your stuff together. But like, I'm just trying to say is like, if you're not, if you know you're not in a dire situation, stop creating that scenario. You know, it's falsifying it's falsifying and justifying a really invalid excuse. You know what I mean? And so if you know your lifestyle and your situations isn't that hard, and you're just trying to use that as a way to make people sympathize for you, you'll never get jobs that way. No one, this is not American Idol. No one's going to be like, oh, okay, well, since you told us your life story, here's a job. You know, it's never like that. It never will be, right? So just be very cautious on the things
Yeah,
you think are preventing you from moving forward. You'd be surprised. Now, with that
yeah,
being said, I am at a supreme advantage over a lot of people because I live in Southern California, which is like a hot stew of just entertainment industry. So I can't speak from personal experience the difficulties and trials. So I only can bring up examples of other people.
no,
But
it's definitely hard, but if you really want it, like you'll figure it out. Like a good example is a friend of mine from Spain. When I used to live in Spain, and he's really dedicated. He really wants to work here, and he hasn't quite yet, but he's literally doing everything that he can. And like he's like, I'm going to BlizzCon. Just I'm like, really? You're gonna pay all that money? He's like, yeah, but he's like, I know some people there, kind of, but I want to actually meet them in person so I can get like so they can see my face and talk to me, and hopefully I can build a nice relationship possibly, and then keep in touch with them. So then hopefully if a job comes around, at least they'll know me, they'll know my face, they'll know my personality, they'll know that I'll be a good fit, and then all I gotta do is work on my work. So I mean the person's going there not even for a for sure job. He's going there because he wants to make those connections, because he believes that his work is strong enough to work there, but because he's international, people they're overlooking him, right? So that's how dedicated he is. Like he's saved up money, he's done all this freelance, and he's saving up money in order to go because he really wants to go. So I mean, at the end of the day, the person that does that and the person that doesn't make those decisions, you know what I mean? He's going to get the job quicker at the end of the day, and that's just the way it is. So I mean, this is one of those things. Like one thing that's always cool about our industry is that it's really fair. I feel like there's not a lot of prejudice. It doesn't matter whether you're black or white or whatever, or like big, skinny, like whatever, goth, gay, or straight. Like if you're good and you put in the work, like you'll usually more times than not you'll good things will happen to you if you put in the work. So The choice is really up to you. Like, how badly do you want it? Because there are people out there that like really want to work at Blizzard.
Yeah.
People love Blizzard.
The
I'm like,
power is
this,
yours.
the power is yours.
Next question says,
What
"What
is that
does the
from?
future look like for the mentorship after November?"
We're going to dismantle
There's
it,
no future.
and then we're going to burn it. Um,
Yeah.
no, a serious answer. We're still not sure. One of the plans that I had for it originally was to expand it to a whole different horizon. Try a different model and see how it works. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Um, but it's
You
going to
should
be
do a
mostly
business model.
character driven because I'm starting to notice everyone kind of wants to see more of that. And
I
so
think in December we're gonna take a break, right?
yeah, we're probably going to take a break. We'll
And
see.
then
We'll see how it
January.
goes. Yeah.
And a
We shall
party.
see. We shall see. We might not. We might do something
Party.
in that time. What I might do is take a break from the mentorship, but then do a lot of video tutorials again,
Hmm.
and just kind of rebuild that library of video tutorials during that whole month, like at least the first few weeks. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of we're still deciding on what that is, and when we know, we'll do Ustream and all that stuff, and you guys will be the first to find out.
Dude, you
Suckers.
gotta hire your current CPA or lawyer and do a class on business. Do a class on the business of art. That
All
should
right.
be the next class right there, dude.
That doesn't need to be a
Dude,
class.
that'd be awesome.
We could do like a seminar. That'd be cool. A paid seminar, maybe.
Yeah, you should do something like that where people can like really talk about that business side of it, like
Well, one of the
the
things,
clients, contracts, all that kind of stuff.
yeah, one of the things I wanted to do though is mostly like put together an expo. We're still working on that. I haven't really put any real motion on that because I'm still trying to get other things finished before I do that. I'm trying to prep for Indiecade and have something to kind of show.
Indie kid,
Yeah, yeah.
get it?
How to improve the sense of design and aesthetic, because the work can be freaking simple, no detail and so on. But if this work has a fantastic sense, it can charge high rate anyway. How can we find good references?
Wait, say that again.
I am so confused.
I know.
It's hard. It's broken English, but how to improve the sense of design and aesthetic, because the work can be freaking simple, no detail and so on. But if this work has a fantastic sense, it can charge high rate anyway. How can we find good references? I think it's a separate. I don't
I, I'm I'm still lost.
know.
Is he?
How to improve
Is he
good
saying? Is
sense
he
of
asking?
design and aesthetic? Start there.
All right, AJ, it's all you. I gotta go take a break.
I don't even know what you're saying to me, man. Say it one more time.
Is
How
I
to
think is he
improve
asking
Hold
like is
on.
it harder to
Quiet,
do
quiet,
something that's simple?
quiet, quiet. Hold on. Go ahead.
How to improve the sense of design and aesthetic, because the work can be freaking simple, no
Okay.
detail and so on. But if this work, it actually says, have a fantastic sense, it can charge high rate
Uh,
anyway. How can us find good reference?
it. I'm gonna try to answer this in a way that I think makes sense to what your question might be alluding to, but I'm not sure if it will answer it. If you're trying to find work, your portfolio should reflect the work that they're going to want. So if you have stuff in, if let's say you draw a bunch of Tonka trucks, don't be surprised if a Tonka truck company calls you and hires you to work on Tonka truck designs. It's the kind of stuff that you have in your portfolio. The way to stand out is to have things that have quality. But I think also like one of the things that really helps you stand out is style. Like if you have something that is clearly yours, something that you have evolved over time, and no one else can truly replicate that. You can definitely charge more because you are unique and you are sought out for that specific skill. Okay, and so it's very, very important that you recognize that in your own work. Like, do I have something that is very unique to me, and are people wanting to be a part of it? You know, and there's a lot of good examples of this, like Craig Mullins and Jamie Jones and these guys. They have a very painterly cinematic look. So directors who hire them are very aware that that's what they're going to get. If I went to Jamie Jones and I hired him and I was like, okay, now what I want you to design is a heavy metal band cover. He might have a harder time trying to achieve that. But if I told him just like a cinematic, like Vista, environment, he would probably do really well and really effectively. You know, if you hired Carlos Fuente, who's a really good creature designer, but then you're like, hey, Carlos, can you design a spaceship for us that's like looks super hard surface and is like nothing soft about it? He'd be like, oh boy, because his stuff is very soft, very creature-like, very anamorphic, and so you know, but like that's why he doesn't get jobs based off of like spaceships. That would be foolish of the client. He gets jobs based off of his creature designs, you know, and that's kind of what I'm trying to really allude here is that you're not going to get jobs. At least you shouldn't get jobs that should surprise you on like why you're doing this thing. Only one time that happened to me, and I'm just trying to like hold on, hold on. Yeah, it only happened to me one time in my career, and it was for like a Nerf gun or something like that. Like they saw a demon design of mine, and they're like, "Oh, that's awesome. That'd be perfect for this Nerf gun design we're doing about football players." And I'm like, "What?" It has like nothing to. All right, you know. Um, but that was the job at hand, and I did it, and it was cool. But that was the only time. Rarely do I ever get a job where it's like I don't feel qualified. So I think it's important that if you're gonna focus on your stuff, um, focus on the things that you like to do and work on that and be the best at it. And then at the same time, try to find something that's also uniquely yours, because that's gonna help as well. And the type of reference you can look at is just you could probably do it on your own. Just look at any artist that you think has a unique voice to their work. Whenever you look at it. Oh, we're gonna actually end the stream pretty soon. See, this told you it was gonna be a short stream.
Lies.
No, no, no. I'm trying to.
So we have probably about 10 more questions.
Oh boy.
See, we already every time we start the stream, it's like, all right, we're gonna be done by like we're doing an hour.
No, we're gonna end it because I have to get going. It's all good, man. Short stream, fun. Get to the point.
It's funny.
We got
my
this.
girlfriend's like, when are we gonna be done? I'll be like, well, you said 5:30, but let's just say 6, because
we're
I
gonna
know.
be done at 5:30.
All right, next
Let's
question.
do this. One question a minute.
We're just
Bam.
passionate.
Is it a good idea to ask your friend, boss, to recommend you elsewhere? For example, he knows a guy from a better studio.
Oh yeah, all the time actually. Yeah, I always ask like people that work for like the studios that I like to work for. In fact, I was planning on doing that for one of the studios because I'm trying to get a repertoire of freelance going, so that me and my students can work on them together, like some of my top tier students. And so I was thinking about hitting up a guy that works at the studio. Be like, hey, are you guys like looking for some freelance?
I thought he asked like while you're working there. I was like, I don't think
Well,
that's a good
yeah,
idea.
you can do that too. I mean, why not? Like, if it's your boss, then maybe that's not the best solution because your boss has different priorities, right?
That's what I thought he meant.
But like, if you have your friend who's like clearly like, oh, that's good, man. Like, yeah, let me hit up my buddy at whatever, like that works at that company, and we'll see what's up. But like, your boss will have a different agenda usually, because then your boss is like doesn't want you to go.
Yeah.
You basically just put in your resignation if you do something like that, right?
He's like,
so hey, I like working here, but
sure.
can you hook me up with another job somewhere else? I mean, I think that's a little bit obvious.
That's what I thought he was asking. I was like, that's a bad idea. Like, hey, AJ, I love working for you, but dude, can you like hook it up with the Blizzard, dude? You're like, so are you quitting? No. I don't want to quit, but like, if you could hook it up.
Yeah, I'll only quit if I get that job.
All right, a minute's up.
Okay.
When freelancing, how do you manage the number of reviews plus major/minor changes a client does to your work. Would you charge for a specific number of changes or include it in the package price?
One of the best things you can do is just tell them when you're going to turn stuff in, and then tell them that they should respond as soon as you turn it in, or at least within the hour. And let that be a known statement so that you put it on them, not on you. Okay?
Yeah, get
Because
it done up front.
yeah, let them know. Say, hey, this thing's gonna get done at this time, and when it's done, we can, let's talk about it if you can, and if you can't, it's fine. Just let me know when you can, so I know what to expect.
Yeah.
So usually hit me up in the morning. That'd be fine. Try to set up a situation that helps them be prepared. Like they don't have. It doesn't seem so random. And start building a working relationship in that direction, like where you and the client understand that there's a timeline in which you guys should respond to one another, and just be consistent with it and just keep up with it.
Yeah, it's very good. You have to really. It's also important to kind of set that standard like in the beginning. So like when I do stuff, I say, hey, I'm gonna do an environment for you. All right, I'm gonna give you like this many thumbnails, okay, and then you're gonna pick one. So then already the studio feels like they have the ability like to make choices. And then I go, okay, after that, I'm gonna take that one and render it out. I'm gonna send you a screenshot like halfway through, and then you get a chance for revisions or whatever. Whatever you want me to revise, I'll revise that. Then I send you the final, and then you can give me a little bit of revision, and then I'll do that. Anything after that, I will charge you this amount of money, this amount of money. So then that way, when each time I turn my stuff in, they go, okay, we like this thumbnail, blow it up. I do the render. They go, okay, this is pretty cool. Just make sure that you add this, this, and this in the final render. And I go, okay. And then the final render's done. They go, okay, can you add a little bit of this? And they go, okay, cool, looks good. Send it. But as long as you establish that, hey, like if you ask for anything more than this, then I have to charge you extra because at that point I'm losing money. So I think just making sure that you establish it in the contract is always good.
All right,
How
lightning round. Let's just go through these.
how
So,
often
guys, hold on. Let me explain lightning round. So, these questions are important. We want to get through all these questions. So, we're going to lightning round these. So, John's going to shoot them to us, and we're going to enter them in one or two sentences. I'll start with the first one, and Kayla will enter the second one, and so on. Yeah? Let's do
let's
this.
do it.
All right, pass.
Go.
How often can I send my portfolio to a company without getting annoying?
Just think about it reasonably. If you send it every day, that's obviously annoying. If you send it once a month, that might be a little annoying. If you send it once a year, that might be reasonable. Just whenever you send something to them, make sure it's upgraded. That's it.
I'm sorry.
Significantly upgraded, I would say.
Do you know if there's going to be a massive black workshop this year?
Pass.
Pass.
We don't know. We're not going to control that. I have no idea.
I don't know. I was like, why did I get the hard question?
It's not a hard question. We just don't know.
What if you just graduated from an art school? Do you recommend to work for a studio first or find a freelance job, especially when you're not confident in how long will it take you to paint one illustration? Thanks.
Just get a job. Just
Just get a
any,
job.
yeah, whatever one comes first. But just make sure you get paid fair and evenly.
Yeah.
Will Kaylin be doing more environment classes in the future?
Hell no. Okay.
How
move
much?
What?
Yeah, yeah, we've already talked about it. It's almost like inevitable. Yeah, most likely.
How much for
What if
portfolio reviews, and where can I contact you about it?
Like you're gonna pay for portfolio reviews? What the? It's funny because my financial advisor was telling me something about this. He's like, you should charge people portfolio reviews, and I was like, what? He's like, no, this is like a real thing. Like I guess for like colleges, like college scouts and stuff like that, there's like real people that pay for portfolio reviews. I think there's a better way of going about that. I don't think it's necessarily a paid for thing, but definitely if you take my classes, you will definitely get a portfolio review. It's at the end of the class. We always do portfolio reviews, and so if you just take a class, it's nice because you'll learn something and you'll get that portfolio review towards the end of the class.
Will Kaylin get high with me?
I don't smoke, but I will dance. If anyone knows me, I love to dance. So if you see me in the club, say hi, and we'll definitely get down. But high on life, yes. Weed, no.
Last
I will.
question. It's kind of
Okay.
so. What about doing a meeting by year with students? It will be cool.
Like
And that's the A yearly meeting? I'm not sure.
Oh, like with all the people, like all the alumni and stuff. Yeah, let's do something.
That'd be cool. That's actually a pretty good idea, like a
Yeah,
reunion.
Yeah, let's figure something out.
that
It
would be
costs money though, so you guys will have to pay for it. I'll set it up, but I'll make it so that you guys only pay like $20 to $30 or something. But it'll have to be a very small venue and affordable so that we can get you guys out here. But you guys will pay for it, suckers.
And James Sabata.
Just kidding.
James Sabata said, Kalen, if you ever start dancing in front of me, I will promptly walk away.
Wow, James,
Wow.
get out of here.
Jerk.
James.
Get out of here.
Fucking the hater.
Jerk.
Dude,
New
until you
York-
see me dance,
New
you're
York
gonna be like,
Colombian.
oh, shit, dude. Kalen's so good.
Yeah.
Even AJ will attest to my
Yeah,
dancing
Kalen's good,
abilities.
but not as good as I.
All right.
What? Dude,
And we
dance
close
battle?
the
Let me
questions.
know.
There's like two more if you want to
Yeah,
take them.
let's go.
Otherwise,
Keep
all
going.
right. It
Lightning round.
says, "Hey AJ, I've got your hotkey file for Photoshop CC from one of your Gumroad tutorials. Have you got
Sweet.
a actual list of what's what?"
Oh, you know what, John? Can you write that down? That's like a commonly asked question. People are like, "What the hell is all these buttons do?" In
Yeah.
fact, what I was gonna do in the next, probably this week or next week, I was gonna actually make a whole new set of actions and hotkeys and brushes and all this stuff. It's just gonna be like one big package that just like is like all the things you need to get started in painting and Photoshop and all these awesome actions. What I was gonna do is like devote a lot of time to action creation to make a lot of people's lives easier, and then you just keep getting the downloads for the actions, and they would be really affordable, and they would come with a video talking about how they work and how you can use them. It'd be like basically the advanced Photoshop videos, just a little bit more tailored to actually the tools, a little bit more versus like how to use Photoshop. It'd be more like this is a dope thing. Use it. It makes your life easier.
And that was the last question.
All right, guys.
If you win,
Wow, we actually really did get on down
I
time.
told you, man. All right, guys. Thank you guys for the stream. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to really talk about what's going on here. But speaking of what I was saying about, like, setting up a system in which you guys can, light more effectively. Well, in my lighting class, I'll talk about the fundamentals of what's going on here. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting together like these types of tools specifically for my dynamic light class. But anyone who's not taking it will be able to access these things for a price. But those who take the class will get it as part of the class admission. But it's basically setting up lights and how to basically use these different kind of fill colors. There's going to be gradient maps, hotkeys, actions, all kinds of things that I'm going to be helping. So all you have to worry about is painting a black and white image and then slowly build it up to a color/lit image. And so, yeah, with that being said, if you take the dynamic lighting class, whatever the subject is, it could be character, environments, vehicles, whatever. But you just want to work on how to light your props or your product, basically, in a little bit more dynamic and interesting way. I have strats, yo, and the class is going to be focusing on that and really helping you build those portfolio pieces for it. Anyway, talk to you guys soon, and thanks for the stream. Thanks, Kaylin, for hanging out.
No problem.
Thanks, John, for moderating.
shut up.
Wow. And we were gonna have you guys watch one of the builds that I have for my game. We're gonna have my son play, but we'll have him play next time in front of you guys, or maybe I'll play in front of you guys, so that way you guys can kind of see the experience. But I want someone who's never seen it,
Yeah, I think
so
it's
they
better
can.
to have him
Yeah,
play.
so maybe we'll just bring someone in, like a guest person, to come in.
I'll
that
play
day.
it.
Yeah, we could actually. We could. Yeah, we can send you the build.
I might hate on your game so much.
Yeah, no, it's probably actually a good idea. Just so we can get some notes and have people volunteer to help us out and give us some feedback on what we can do to make it cooler. We already put a lot of cool stuff in there, but I mean, we've been looking at it for a while. It's hard to tell if it's any good. I know it has the potential to be really awesome, but we're slowly building it. Slowly building it. Anyways, talk to you guys later. Peace.